This is the third time I've tried to record this video for technical problems. How ironic, I wouldn't have this problem if I still had my original kit, but here I'm trying it. Third time is the charm, I hope. And I really just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who wrote such beautiful and encouraging things, especially how much you've appreciated the work that I do. I haven't felt that sort of sense of appreciation before at this school, and it's absolutely moving, and I really want to say how much I thank everybody for that. And you guys are absolute ratbags. You're making me cry all day. I want to say thank you to the lovely students who wrote me this lovely card. I won't reveal your names in the video, but you know who you are, and thank you. Thank you for the kind words and encouragement. I really appreciate it. And I also want to say a huge thank you to Mitchell. I think I can say his name out loud because his name is on the link, but I didn't want to do a fundraiser for myself because I thought that was a bit... I thought it was unethical asking for money from students, but Mitchell took it upon himself to create a fundraiser of some sort on the web without my knowledge. So I didn't find out until much later in the morning, when one of my younger students actually pointed out that somebody had done so. And I just really want to say a big public thank you to Mitchell. I had no idea it was you. I didn't expect any of this, and you really made my day. And after all the disappointment and emotional anguish and anger that's come about from this predicament, the news that you had done this for me, it really brightened my day, and I can't thank you enough for that. Thank you, Mitchell. The topic of today's video is basically to say thanks to everybody, some updates as to what's going on at the moment, and also I thought if you're going to fundraise for me to help me fund a replacement for my missing equipment, I thought the least I could do is to clarify to everybody here what has gone missing, what have they taken. I already mentioned in the original video where I said I was announcing the news that I got robbed, but I'm just going into more detail. So essentially what happened is on Friday night there was a big sort of, I presume, a uni crowd having a party across the street, and later that morning/night somebody had climbed up to our balcony. That's 3 stories up. They climbed it all the way up through our open window or doors, glass doors, and just came in the house and took our stuff, and they went out the front door and left with our belongings. So that's basically what happened. We were asleep at the time. There's nothing we could do about it. We're doing okay. We're not harmed in any way, just obviously emotionally impacted. So I'm personally depressed that I had failed to make it to the rugby game and support my students there as they played their first practice match. And also disappointed in myself not being able to follow through with a lot of the physics videos plans I had. A friend of mine had bought a whole lot of equipment for he and I to work with to show a lot of the physics that my students are learning about at the moment, and it's just heartbreaking for me to go into this school Easter holiday break and have nothing to shoot with besides this iPhone. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, this is the 3rd time I've tried to record this, because every time I've tried to upload it or finish the video or stop the video, the phone stops working and it won't upload, or something goes wrong. So I'm just bashing my head against the wall trying to get the technology to work. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off without... anyway. So we're safe. My wife is okay. She has been obviously emotionally affected. Somebody broke into our house, so I'm sure some of you students have also sympathised with me and said that it's also happened to you, and I feel really awful that's also happened to you. But I think we got off pretty lightly. I mean, my wife and I were not confronted in any way, although if we were, I'm sure my wife would have beaten the living out of them because she just came back from Renaissance fencing that evening. So she had her array of sword fighting equipment just in the neighbouring room. And if we had been awake at the time, I'm sure we would have been able to easily fend off our invaders, but sadly we were asleep and we didn't notice at all. Not until the morning we realised that stuff was gone. News updates. So basically the police have come and gone, so that happened on the weekends. Forensics, some other policemen in general taking statements, making police reports. The banks have contacted me since then as well, saying that my cards have been stolen and we had to cancel those cards. So now I have no means of buying things. I've been so blessed that one of the teachers at the school, he actually put some cash in my hand this morning and paid for my coffee. That was really generous, so I'm able to get by on that for now until I can get some replacement credit cards or debit cards. So my wallet's gone, my ID's gone, all those things, and so it's going to take me some time to replace them. But besides that, so I wanted to clarify to everybody what has been taken. So essentially what happened, they came through that balcony, picked up my wife's laptop over there, went across the room and just behind the camera, that's where I sat my camera bag, and they just picked it up and went, and they picked my wallet up and they took my wife's pocket watch, which belonged to her grandfather. So I really feel saddened for my wife, because I think it's the only thing she has of her grandfather. So yeah, basically this is not the same bag, but it's the same. I had two of a kind. So this one here is made in canvas. The other one was made in a leather color, probably similar to this one. You may have seen me wear it from time to time at school. But essentially, you can see the size of it. It looks, especially if it was made in leather, I think perhaps they stole it because it looked like perhaps a handbag in the middle of the night. And so they took it up and ran. And unfortunately, my goals in camera equipment was to have the smallest kit, the lightest kit, but the maximum output, the maximum sort of quality per volume that I could get, and that meant a lot of expensive gear. So inside that camera bag that they took was two camera bodies. So the first camera was the Sony a7S II. So if you look up the market price, that can be anywhere between $3.8 to $4,000. I think I got mine for a deal online for about $3.8 thousand. Then as I got hired as a photographer at the school, it wasn't working for me to do the sport, especially when sport is unpredictable, and especially when you have no skill in sport and have no ability to predict anything in sport. I needed a camera that had autofocus. That means that when you have your lens, it can focus upon things as they move around in your field of view. And so I went out to the store and I had to rent a second camera body because I couldn't afford a second one. And that was the Sony a7R II, and that thing there was, at least for the store that I got from, they were advertising between $4,000 and $4.2 thousand. So it's almost $8,000 of equipment just in camera bodies alone that was in the bag that's missing. And then also in there they had two lenses. Now, part of the reason why I have such a small bag for my camera equipment is because I spent so much effort trying to get the smallest kit. What's the minimum number of lenses I could get away with and still be happy, doing my video making? And to me that was a 35mm lens, and I had a 55mm in there as well. The 35mm lens is my absolute favorite. If there was ever a lens that I would take with me, it would be that one. And I wanted the best quality, great qualities, optic qualities, and I don't want to get technical because I think most of you really don't care. but basically the way it renders the video, renders things, it's not too harsh, the background's nice and creamy, those sort of qualities. And to get it, and that's very hard to get in a small lens. You can get them in big fat lenses that have a huge diameter on the front, and they tend to be quite sort of long as well, and that was the exact opposite of what I wanted. To get a lens that was small and that high quality, I had to buy a Leica lens. So this is also a Leica lens. I don't know if you can sort of catch that in the light, but that's the lens I have. That one is a 21mm, not the same type, but it's the same brand. So you may have maybe seen this on the front of my camera from the past year or two. And Leica, unfortunately, is the most expensive camera lens company in the world. At least I think they are. So to get a lens that has a very wide opening, you can get that really beautiful creamy background, that's the more expensive lens. And for a Leica lens of that type, 35mm, 1.4 aperture, which is basically, I could probably just show you because it's kind of cool. Don't know if you can sort of see that. You can sort of see, like, if I point it through here, let me just focus on the white background. Can you see the opening inside, opening and closing? So the bigger that opening is in the middle, that's the diameter of the iris or the aperture. The bigger that is, the more exaggerated the blur happens in the background, but also the amount of light that the camera can see. It's kind of like the difference between squinting and having your eyes wide open. And yes, the Leica 1.4 35mm lens, and that cost me $6,500. And why did I spend that much money? Well, like I said, it was my favorite lens. The favorite focal length. It was the one lens. If I was going to get one good quality lens, I would pick that one, and it would be the 35mm, and it would be that brand because it's the smallest one of its kind, and it's gone now. Thankfully, they didn't steal all my lenses. This one, he was sitting right on the table as they walked right past it, but I don't think they realized what they were taking. I think they probably looks like a woman's handbag, if they had the leather version of it. And there was a bunch of other lenses laying around the place, but they didn't pick them up. So thankfully, they did take everything from me. The other lens I took was a Zeiss 55mm f1.8, and that's not quite as expensive, but it's still not cheap. It was, I think, about $1,200 or $1,300. So altogether, if I've done my maths correctly, that was a bit less than $16,000 together, not including the batteries, the remote control I had in there, the focus and color calibration target inside. So it was roughly $16,000 of equipment plus my wife's laptop. So that is a huge financial loss for me, and yes, it may be the point where I can't afford to get them again. I have to prioritize what's important, and to me right now, I do have some savings in the bank, and to me it's really important that my wife has a laptop, because she's been doing a lot of job hunting, and you can't really make CVs very well on an iPad. And certainly she's not supposed to be doing other things when she's at work, so she can't be doing resumes while she's at work at her current job. So she really needs a laptop. So in the near future, I'll be giving her my old one, and then I'll replace my current one with something a bit more powerful, so that I can have the horsepower to do all the video making that I do, hopefully in greater quantities more quickly. So that's gone, and but, the news. Forgive me if I've already mentioned this, I've recorded this 3 times. But the Sony a7R II that I had rented, I had forgotten, but I later found out when I made the phone call today saying, I'm sorry, the camera is stolen. They reminded me on the phone that I actually had paid extra on the monthly payments for insurance against damages, and also included amongst the things that they covered was theft under certain circumstances. So if I left it in the car and it got broken into, that's sort of being negligent. and that would not be covered by theft. However, I'm thinking on the third floor of the building, maybe that'll be enough grounds for getting that replaced. I hope. I don't know. But there's a lot of paperwork that they require for me to put together to make the claim that it's been stolen and it's under these circumstances and things like that. So I need police reports, photographs. I don't think there's anything to photograph. There's no broken parts. There's no damage to the apartment at all. The fingerprints of the person who had climbed over the railing, they're kind of wiped away because of the forensics lady. She took a DNA swab after she had dusted it off. So she dusted it, found the fingerprints on there. Then she swiped it with some chemicals to get a DNA sample. And so that's basically ruined the picture. So I can't get a picture of that. But yeah, here's hoping that I can hopefully make a successful claim to get that replaced in time for term 2 when everybody jumps back again from the Easter holiday break and back into rugby and soccer season and stuff. I hope to get back into that. Thankfully, my longer lenses, the zoom lenses, they're still here. They didn't see it. They didn't pick them up. But again, it's kind of like they've taken. It's like they've kind of taken your laptop. You might have your monitor, your keyboard, and your mouse, but there's nothing for it to plug into. That's the way I feel right now. I've still got the peripheral. I can swap to a different lens of some kind, although not ideal. I can't shoot anything because there's no camera. And yeah, but if you want to be part of the fund that Mitch had set up, I'll put a link in the description below, and please don't feel obligated to donate money. I didn't ask for it, but I am so thankful that people have done this on their own, and it really makes me value how much of a wonderful community that this school is, because a lot of the people who have been donating has been school students of mine from past and present, and yeah, it just blows my mind. I really don't know what to say. I don't know how to fully articulate myself right now. It's very frustrating to not be able to say and express, how much I appreciate it. But I hope you guys sort of can see that at the very least. If you're wondering what that sound is, I've actually got. I'm just doing this anyway because. If I take this away, you can see how I'm actually trying to do some camera trick right here, because you can see the shadows here and here is kind of severe. But if I bring this back again, I basically got a white card. So every time I lift my hands, I keep lifting it off of the card that I have underneath me. And that's part of the frustration, is that I can use my phone to make video content, but it's a lot of. It's like herding cats. Yes, you can do it, to some extent, but it's a battle. It's frustrating every step of the way. This camera doesn't have the dynamic range that my other cameras have, so the light to dark. I didn't have to do this trick to get an even exposure. And when I recorded over in that corner of the room, I had these really burnt out white areas on my skin, and there's no matter how much I turn down the light that's in front of me, the camera would then compensate and then burn it out again. And yeah. Anyway, thanks very much, guys. I thought hopefully the update answers a few questions. All right, I'm going to get back to marking. Thanks, everybody.